Everything you're hearing right now is not a recording. It's AI. It's a voice model trained entirely on my own voice. Not a filter, not a voice changer, not some preset. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how I made it and what it's actually doing behind the scenes. I wanted to see if I could actually clone my voice, and that's why I did this. It's not just a website doing 5 seconds of audio. It's not a random AI voice you can find online.
I just freaking subbed to freaking stupid freaking Tom must be 12.
I wanted a real trained model that understands my voice patterns and can generate completely new sentences in my voice. Because I figured if I'm going to do this, I might as well go all the way. The core of this project is a system called RVC, which stands for Retrieval-Based Voice Conversion. RVC isn't a TTS, text-to-speech, system by itself. It's a voice conversion system. So it learns the characteristics of a voice, not the actual words. That means it studies my pitch range, my tone, my cadence, how I pronounce consonants, how I emphasize words, the texture of my voice, and once it learns all of that, it can generate new speech from any input I give it. Basically, it builds a mathematical blueprint of my voice, and then it can speak in that voice using new words I've never said. To make RVC more accessible, I used Applio, which is an interface for training and running RVC models. And Applio actually, right here, does all the heavy lifting. So it pre-processes my recordings, it extracts all the audio features that I need, and turns a long audio file into a big dataset. It also does pitch detection, model training, and inference. Instead of manually coding everything, Applio lets you focus on giving the model good audio and then watching it learn. And that's why I used it here. The first step is always the dataset. The model can only learn from what you feed it, so I had to record clean, consistent audio of myself. I recorded dozens of sentences in a quiet room. This concludes a long, varied voice sample designed to capture tone, pacing, and personality. The recording has included different emotional levels. I varied my tone and energy so the model could learn a realistic voice that would change while you're talking. The more diverse and clean your recordings are, the better the model sounds. If you record monotone, robotic sentences, your AI clone will just sound monotone and robotic, just like your sentences were. Once the recordings were ready, I imported them into Applio. From there, the real training process begins. Applio first pre-processes the audio. It splits it into small segments, it normalizes the volume and the pitch, and it extracts features like F0, which is pitch, spectral envelope, and timbre, which all have to do with your voice and how it sounds. And then the model starts training. During training, the system goes through epochs, which are complete passes over the dataset. At first, the model is very bad. It sounds robotic, weird, and completely wrong in like every single way. But over time, as the loss, which measures how wrong the model is, decreases, it starts to approximate my voice better. Eventually, after enough epochs, it starts sounding very convincing. You start to hear me, even in sentences I never actually said. Here's what's happening under the hood, though. RVC isn't actually memorizing my words, like I said. It's learning patterns in the audio. Your voice creates very specific frequency shapes every time you speak. Your pitch, your resonance, your formants. The AI just extracts those patterns and builds a representation of them. When you give it new text, it reconstructs the sound based on that representation. It's like having a blueprint of your voice and building new sentences from that blueprint. That's why it can sound like me on sentences I've never spoken before. So let's try something new. Here's a sentence I never recorded. Artificial intelligence has now learned the acoustic signature of my identity. That sentence didn't exist in my recordings, but the voice you just heard, generated entirely by the AI. That's the power of RVC. It's not just splicing audio clips, it's creating new audio from learned voice characteristics. Now, training this wasn't instant. It took time and patience. Even with the 4060, which is a powerful GPU, RVC models need tons of processing power. And you need to monitor the training to make sure it doesn't overfit, which happens if the model just memorizes your recordings instead of actually generalizing the patterns. That's why I kept some recordings aside as a validation set to make sure the model actually learned to generalize. Applio made all of this easier. I could see the loss decreasing live, monitor my GPU, and watch the model gradually improve. And while I was using this model, there's something surreal about hearing yourself generated by AI. I can't make that clear enough. It's accurate, but it's like pretty creepy. It knows my tone and my cadence, and it replicates my pronunciation pretty much exactly. It even approximates my small quirks that I make when I talk. But it's still slightly off. Not conscious, not emotional, just a statistical model predicting audio. It's like listening to yourself in an alternate universe. Once it works, this technology is surprisingly practical though. Narrate videos without recording yourself, fix mistakes instantly, generate multiple takes in your voice, and even translate into other languages while preserving your voice. Hola, yo amigos tells you to. It's powerful and pretty freaking scary. Voice used to mean identity. Now anyone could technically create realistic speech that sounds like you, just from 5 minutes of data. So, did I successfully clone my voice? Technically, yes. Does it replace me? Definitely not. Not yet, at least. But it's close enough that the difference is very subtle. And that's wild. Because it means AI voice cloning isn't just science fiction. But it's here, it works, and I just did it myself. If you want to see me take this further, like generating different styles, emotions, or even building a fully automated AI chatbot where I can talk to myself, leave a comment. Because now that this works, there's no going back. And honestly, it's kind of insane how real it sounds. I'll have a link to the model so you can use it yourself in the description.